Now, as the guests enter the tea room, they stop at the tokonoma, which is the wall alcove. And all traditional homes in Japan have an alcove called the tokonoma, and it always contains a scroll and some other ornamentation. And in the tea room is no exception. So here there's a scroll, and on it the calligraphy says wa kei sei jaku, which means harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility. And these are the 4 principles of the tea room. And after first making note of the scroll, then the guests also take a look at the flower arrangement. Today's flower arrangement is in a formal metal vase, and it's an arrangement of a flower called Christmas rose and early sakura, cherry blossoms. And now the host, this is Lynn Howard-Gibbon, she's entering and presenting the sweets to the first guest. Now the sweets aren't eaten right away. They're actually eaten immediately before drinking the bowl of tea. The tea has a slightly astringent flavor, and so it's usually good to have a slightly sweet flavor still on the tongue as you're drinking your tea. So she will be taking the sweets a little bit later. And now the host is entering formally, and everyone bows together. And the host is bringing now the tea bowl, or chawan, and a tea caddy called natsume. Today's style of temae is called nangaita soukazari, which refers to the long board that you see underneath the brazier in front. And it's a slightly formal style, a very special style. You see that various utensils on the other side there are made of celadon, which is also considered formal. Soukazari means everything is displayed. So at the end, everything will be left for the guests to enjoy looking at. So right now what the host is doing is she's placing the utensils in front of herself in preparation for beginning to prepare the tea bowl for the tea. And we all have, all the hosts or anybody who helps assist the host has a cloth at their waist. This is called fuksa. It's red or orange in the case of women and usually a darker purple in the case of men. And it symbolizes the host. And you may have noticed that she's just folded it and now she's wiping the tea caddy with it. And this is actually a kind of ritual preparation. Purity is extremely important in Japanese culture. And here she's ritually purifying or ritually cleansing the utensils. And every time she ritually cleanses something, she will refold it, which is she's now doing again. So she has purified the tea caddy, and now she's going to do the same with the tea scoop. Now, of course, all these utensils are already completely clean. This is just a way, really, of showing consideration for the guests, and also to help the host herself quiet her mind in preparation for making the tea. And now she removes the tea whisk from the tea bowl and moves the bowl a little closer to herself. And now the host assistant is coming in from behind, and she's going to actually help serve the tea bowls to the guests. And in the meantime, the host is taking the tea ladle, and that's what she uses for actually pouring the water, as you'll see. So the first guest is saying in Japanese, thank you so much for inviting us today. We're very fortunate. It's beautiful weather. And indeed, we are really lucky right now to have sunshine and blue skies. So now what the host is doing is taking some hot water from the brazier, which is this implement right here. She's taking the hot water, and it's not yet to make the tea, but it's to heat the tea bowl. And so she puts in a half ladle full of of hot water into the tea bowl. And now she's going to check the tines of the whisk. Now again, the host will have checked that the whisk is completely intact and in good condition before bringing it in, but again, it also shows consideration for the guest. And one of the benefits of whisking the whisk in the hot water is it also helps strengthen it and prepare it for making the tea. So the host pours away the rinsed water in a waste bowl, which you can see is away from the guests. The guests shouldn't see anything to do with uncleanliness, and that's why it's as far away as possible. And now she's actually drying the bowl with a small linen cloth, which is called a chakin. And the way that you fold it and the way that you wipe, it basically refolds it in the way that it was folded to begin with. The first guest is asking about the scroll. So the assistant is explaining the meaning of the actual words right now, I believe. And in the meantime, also the host has indicated to the first guest she can take her sweet now. And the host is actually taking out 2 little scoopfuls of matcha powder. So I think you probably already know, but just in case not, the matcha powder is made up of very, very fine green tea leaves, which are ground into a powder, and then they're whisked with the water to make something that's drunk away. So it's thicker than what we're used to drinking when we drink green tea, but it's very delicious, and it's very nutritious as well. So now the host is putting in, again, about half a scoop of hot water into the tea bowl. And she puts some of the water back. And the reason for that is that measuring these things is not really an exact science. We really use about 1.5 scoops of matcha in a tea bowl to make a typical bowl of tea, and about half a ladleful. But if you find that you put in a little more matcha or a little less, you can adjust accordingly when you're actually putting in the hot water. And now the host is using the whisk to whisk the tea bowl into a very fine froth. And in the Urasenke school, ideally when you serve tea, it should have a lovely, even froth on top of it. Even a little bit raised in the center, because when the host finishes whisking, she removes the whisk from the middle. So it actually looks like a slightly flattened mountain Fuji. The other thing to bear in mind about whisking is that it looks like a small amount of tea when it's only half a ladleful, but the tea bowl is the mixing bowl as well as the serving bowl and the actual bowl for drinking from, so it needs to be able to accommodate the whisk too. So the assistant has taken the first bowl to the principal guest. And the first guest is saying, "Excuse me for going before you."